multiple, Middle Eastern countries. That is not the issue. The issue is not how many fucking people. The issue is that we're bombing other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why are we doing that? Because we
9/11.
want to. Because the government can do whatever they want.
Shut up, 9/11.
Because 9/11. Yeah, exactly. It's like, but that. So what? It's just stupid. It's just but all the details. The details are fucking distractions. The details about the individual, like one black guy getting shot in Detroit, and he's unarmed, and there's this mysterious situation, and we all assume the cop is crazy and fucking psychotic, and he could be, or maybe he just is in a terrible situation where he's dealing with fucking violent people and people who are desperate and in poverty, and that's what people focus on. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't the one situation.
Yeah.
The problem is the whole system that allows force to be, dealt out in violent ways without, it's just... Yeah. Anyway, I don't have to keep talking about it.
It's a discussion that's always interesting, but it's like
it's so futile.
There's just a wall at the end that you just hit, and there's nothing you can. It's one of those things that there's just nothing you can do. Like,
no,
you just leave the country. I guess if you hate it that much.
No, but then you just go to another state. You just go to another place that has the power of force. Yeah. There aren't any places where people are peaceful and allow people to, and there isn't a gun, that just dictates who does what when, it's just frustrating I should just never listen to fucking people talk about anything, because
I usually don't. Like, the moment people start talking about stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do something else now.
Yeah.
Or I'm just gonna, if it's news, I just like, oh, I'm not gonna read that article. I don't care. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like with the whole Baltimore thing, that was like another police killed like a black kid or something that was unarmed, something like that.
I don't know, but
because I don't care. Like,
yeah,
there's so many people dying and women being raped and all these. There's terrible things happening every second of every day. Why do we limelight fucking one incident just because of certain circumstances? Like, it sucks. Like, I'm not trying to like belittle the fact that what happened.
Shit happens.
But why are you gonna riot? Why are you gonna create more crime from a crime? Like, the
rioting is one of the most illogical, frustrating things ever.
Yeah.
But it comes from a system of violence. You have people being violent against you in a neighborhood, like the cops and the military, right? Because they call them the military. And they think that more violence is helpful. But that's because that's what everyone grows up learning. Almost every revenge story of every movie is violence against violence. It's crazy. People are, and then like I was watching Sons of Anarchy, and they do all of this horrible like violence toward other groups, like other gangs, and then they're shocked and sad when the other gang fights back.
Yeah.
They're just, it's fucking like you're not a smart person.
Yeah.
You're out of your fucking mind if you think that violence doesn't just create more violence. But the problem is that's how we, that's humanity. That's what we do. That's where we're at, and it's fucking frustrating, I guess. But yeah, the rioting to me is just a huge sign of a lack of intelligence, compassion, understanding the real enemy. The real enemy isn't the guy who owns a 7-Eleven that you want to fucking steal some Oreos from. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
You idiot fucks. You want to destroy private property? Well, why? Because you just want shit. You want free shit, and you want to create violence.
And I know, and like,
'cause you're an asshole.
Those people don't even know the guy who was killed. Probably, like they're just like, well, there's a riot. Let's go join in. It's for fun.
Yeah, and then it's all under this guise of like social reform. You're fucking stupid. You have no power, and so you're just trying to enact violent power to rebel against violent power. But way to go! You're not accomplishing shit, and you're frustrating Joe in Oregon. So stop it. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. We had the Rodney King riots, right, in like the 80s or 90s or whatever. Nothing's gotten any better.
No.
Everything
never
is,
will.
The government has gotten bigger. They've gotten more regulations, more laws on the book, more people in prison.
More technology.
More technology for us to know about it, but not be able to do anything about it because we still don't represent ourselves in any major way, right? Like we still have like congressmen and representatives, which I think is the most retarded thing ever. How does one guy make decisions for thousands of people in a state?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's the most pretentious, illogical shit. Like, what? Why? And then we have also like the differences between federal and state law that make no sense. So you have marijuana is legal in Colorado and in a bunch of other states, in Washington.
Well, it'll be legal here. Too, in July,
totally legal here.
But federally, it's not.
But
legal,
federally, it's still not. So who? How am I supposed to live in a legal system that is both? Where something is both legal and illegal. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't follow laws.
Yeah.
It's not even that I don't want to. I want to be safe and not go to jail. But I can't because you're making things contradictory.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, well, we'll get it changed, progression, fixing, and liberal change, hope and change. Bullshit. It's just, I don't know. I think the real riot should be abstaining from the system. That's my idea, is don't buy from companies that are unethical and crazy, and that includes the government, because they're just a company. They're just a business. They're a business of control and power and monopolizing force.
It's like in the human slave market.
We are. I think we are willing participants in a slave market.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, in human...
Our country is just a giant human trafficking marketplace.
Yeah, so let's say a slave gets taxed 100%, right? Every amount of their productivity goes to the government.
No, I'd say like 90% of it, because they usually had a place to stay.
Overhead.
And they got to eat,
there's overhead, right? So 10% of their labor goes to their own well-being, and then so right now I'm getting taxed about 40%, right? So I'm 40% a slave. That's pretty simple. I'm not. I have 60% freedom. I can choose to go get other jobs or whatever, but I still can't walk on a certain part of the road because I'm a fucking slave. Because I'm not. There are people above me. There are people who can hurt me, and they won't get any problems to them. They will never be. No one will do anything about it. And yet, it's a government by the people, for the people. Which people? Who people? What people?
It might have started that way at one point, way back in the day in 1776.
Nah, that's bullshit. Because they had slaves actually back then. So it wasn't the people. They didn't think of them as people.
But since they were so focused on those slaves, they didn't worry about bothering the non-slaves.
The non-slaves, yeah. So. Well, yeah, and taxes have only gone up, because a long time ago, I guess taxes were really high in the 80s, and they went back down. But originally, taxation was on goods, certain services and goods. There was no income tax for a long time in America. But then they were like, wait a minute, why don't we just steal people's labor and time? Why don't we just take all the money?
We can't get free labor out of the blacks anymore.
Yeah,
so
exactly. We'll just have to get the labor out of everybody.
Money.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We'll give them the illusion of freedom, because we're only going to take 40%.
Yeah, you're like, okay, instead of having one master, you get to choose from two masters. Yeah. And then you're like, yay, I got this guy and not this guy, but they're all fucking evil masters. It's, to me, it's like, you don't have to get complicated with it. It's not that complicated. How free are you? How free are you to do certain things? And if you're not allowed to walk on a certain part of the fucking pavement, you're not that free. You know what I mean? With trespassing, or not trespassing, but what is it called when you walk on the wrong part of the road? Crossing the street?
Jaywalking?
Jaywalking. Jaywalking is a fucking crime. That's retarded. So that's just an example of it's not that complicated, but it's...
It's too depressing for people to deal with, so they just push it out of their heads.
And then they all want to argue about the details. They want to argue about, where should we put the tax money? We shouldn't be forced to pay for things we don't want to pay for. That's it. As long as I'm not hurting somebody, I have to get along with my society. There's a huge incentive for us to get along. Because if you get along with your society, you can trade. You can trade your services or your products for things. So, like the idea of the free market, people, it's so simple, and it's something we have varying degrees of. And when there are more freedoms, things are better. So let's just be more free. Let's work toward anything that is forcing people to do something by way of coercion and force. Just get rid of that, and let's see what happens. We don't have to keep everything going the same way it is, but we do. We will just keep it going. So anyway, that's one of the things that I've been frustrated about. But that's just because I keep listening to people who think that the government is. They take it for granted. And it is granted. I mean, we're not getting rid of it, but that doesn't mean we have to like go with it. Like if you're an actual, let's say you're a slave, you can do your work and live your life, but you don't have to be fucking happy about it. You don't have to be like, well, he made me pick cotton for 6 hours when he said he was going to do it for 5 hours. Just don't be so fucking naive, or I don't know. And I don't even know who I'm talking to, but fuck me.
You gotta start your own cult.
I don't need to. There's a lot of other people who I have gotten a lot of these ideas from who believe in this kind of stuff, but they're not. They can't gain power because they're not using fucking the government.
Yeah, that's what sucks about it is you can talk about it all you want, but in the end, you just go to bed, you get up, and you just fucking do it all over again. Like that's just that's life.
Yeah,
unfortunately, and you'll the quicker you figure that out and learn to cope with it, the happier you'll be in life. It's like you just have to accept it.
I just got to take the pills, just take the pills of complacency and just shut the fuck up, just or else I just want to, my brain is going to explode or something like that, I heard somebody talking the other day and they were saying, we've got to get the government involved in, cable networks, right, in internet access, and because other countries, they have better internet access and it's cheaper, and we don't want some company like Comcast having a monopoly, so we got to have this is a public good, this is a need, we all have the right to it. And I was just like, you're crazy, because if you put the hands of a product if you put a product in the hands of the government is the only real monopoly out there. They are only one agency, and if they own it, then there's no competition, and there's no changing it. There's no making it better. It's not efficient. It's never been efficient. So that was just how do you not get the contradiction between not wanting monopolies and putting something in the hands of the government? That's a huge contradiction.
Literally, you're just creating because the idea of a monopoly is to not allow one thing to control all of it.
Right, some necessary good or whatever.
You're going to not let Comcast have it, but...
Right. The only reason that we have the situation we have with Comcast as a monopoly is because the government enforces non-competition rules. So if we just didn't have the government interfering with fucking commerce, then there would be multiple companies involved, which there used to be, and they all got conglomerated into, 3 major companies, Time Warner and Comcast and stuff, and they're not allowed to compete with each other. They don't want to compete with each other, and the government allows that. And that means a third party can't get in and compete with Comcast and stuff in a way that actually is effective.
Yeah.
You have DirecTV and shit, but they're not the same. But that's the reason that other countries have great internet access for better prices is because they allow competition. The government is the opposite of competition. There's no competition in the government, which is why no one gets fucking fired and there's no change and everything's so slow.
Yeah.
And you have people in office for fucking years that do nothing, and you have teachers who are terrible and do nothing, and all this, all this stuff. Anyway, I think we're done. We've gone about an hour and a half, so.
This is a very
I just had to say something.
If I ever want to listen to you rant, I'm just I'll say one thing about
the government.
Just government, and then
Joe,
boom.
What do you think about the government? But sometimes I just gotta
Gotta let it out, dog.
Explosions.
I would probably be more ranty about it too, but I just, like I said, I'm just like, well,
You don't really need to be.
it's the way it is. So just fucking deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a difference between being, like you can't do anything. So what are you going to do? You just roll over like a dog. You just you can't do anything. That's different than growling for one side when you're just a puppet. You know, like you're like, oh, we gotta fucking put more money into this and more money into that, and they don't fund this enough, and they don't do that enough. Whatever. Stop taking my money. Yeah. Stop stealing my labor. That's it. Let me make decisions.
You don't like being a 40% white slave?
No, and like I got a bonus this year. They took about almost 50%, like a good,
really,
like 45% of my bonus. A bonus is designed to be an incentive for hard work. I work hard. I make my company a ton of money. Totally, none of anyone else's business. Like, I do a good job for my boss. They're like, hey, here's an extra couple, $100, and the government goes, why should you get extra money for working hard? We do so much for you. Give me half of the thing that you only got for working hard. You know what that makes me do? Makes me not want to work so hard.
Yeah.
Because I only get half of my bonus. Fuck you. Fuck faces.
And we'll close this episode out on Joe's bonus rape.
Rape?
The raping of Joe's bonus.
Oh, don't rape my bonus.